Hey everybody, Mark Comfort here on behalf of my wife Mimi and all of us at Cruise Holidays of Kansas City. Thank you for watching this because this is going to be about our one and only royal family trip in 2024. And it will be to Greenland and Iceland. We'll end up in Iceland and have a post package there. But the primary part of this trip is Greenland, and above the Arctic Circle and into a couple of UNESCO heritage sites. And I have to give you a little background on this, and then I'm going to have Kim North, who just got back literally in, I think, September 9th or 10th. She and Lynette took a group on Atlas Ocean voyages above the Arctic into Greenland, and she's going to share. And I must tell you, because all of this has been a big puzzle for Mimi and I, and I'm going to give you a little background when we start thinking about trips and putting trips together. A lot of what Mimi and I want to do is get away in the hot summer months and go to some place to get out of here a little bit. In fact, we just got back from Copper Mountain. As you probably know, any of you that watched, were supposed to watch this last week, we had internet difficulties or technical difficulties from, I was going to do this from this webinar from our second home in Copper Mountain, Colorado, up in the heart of the Rockies. And I thought, wow, what a perfect setup to talk about the beauty of Greenland and the incredible scenery and everything that is Greenland. And by the way, right now, there are three really, we call them the most popular new countries for people, tourists to travel from the United States and especially the Midwest. One is Greenland, one is Colombia, South America, and one is Japan. And we're going to have Colombia, South America going in the summer, July of 2025, because the building of the new ship, the river cruise ship that AMA Waterways is doing in Colombia, got delayed. And because it was delayed 3 or 4 or 5 months, we just thought, hey, let's just move this or delay the Colombia South America river cruise for one full calendar year to July of 2025. So we will be doing that Colombia trip. I'm honestly so excited about going to new countries and seeing what these new countries have to offer. And right now, the under 40 crowd, under 50 crowd know all about Colombia, South America, and it is hot. Now, the under 40 crowd's parents know about Greenland. And Greenland is so popular right now. And Lynette and Kim got me so excited about this. And their timing was perfect, because when they came back, they told me all about how Greenland was so spectacularly beautiful, and how the mountains, the glaciers, especially the glaciers, wait to hear about this, the wildlife. They got lucky and saw northern lights one night. How exciting is that, right? And so many people want to see that. And I had just gotten back from my church's Israel and Jordan trip. And, you know, I got to tell you, just a little bit burnout on, for the first time in my career, of living out of a suitcase for 11, 12 days. I just think it was time to make a change. So we got pricing out the Scotland trip for our royal family trip in August to go during that military tattoo time. Well, that is also the most popular time in Scotland. And it was all land trip, but it was packing and unpacking. And when this opportunity came up with Atlas, wait till you hear this. They made us a deal, a value that, as Kim will tell you, is the best value you will find going to the Arctic. There's no doubt about it, especially on a luxury expedition style, yacht style ship that Atlas Ocean Voyages is doing and has. And they've perfected it. And wait till you hear Kim talk all about it. But we're going to go through this today, and that's why we've changed from Scotland. The one thing constant in life is change, right? So when we got pricing Scotland trip out, it was more per person than this Atlas Ocean Voyages. So August 15th through the 25th, when it's the hottest, most humid time here. And you remember this past August, how incredibly hot it was. And we're going to get out of that heat and get to some place where the weather is really cool and really nice, and the scenery is beyond breathtaking, to the point you're going to hear about 2 UNESCO World Heritage Sites of hinterlands and glacier ice shelves that you're going to hear all about today. So with that, let's go ahead and get this started. And I want you to consider going with us to Greenland and Iceland. We'll have a post-package trip to Iceland that we can customize directly for you. We'll have a 2-night and a 4-night package, and then if you want to do something more than that or less than that, we can do that for you too in Iceland, because we start in a place I've not heard of, and I'm going to have trouble pronouncing these Greenlandic names. They all have about 26 letters in the, and they all seem to end in Q or something. So you'll see this as we go. So Kim, first slide, please. So there you go. Here's the itinerary. Again, it's on Atlas Ocean Voyages. And again, I'm going to let you guys try to pronounce most of these. I'm going to butcher them, but I will try as we go through. But if you notice right in the middle of that, you see the line that says Arctic Circle. Right above that, it's got a little symbol of an airplane, and it says free private charter jet service from somewhere in North America. They haven't told us where yet, because they haven't put it together, but it'll be on the east coast of the United States or Canada, and we will fly directly, included, by the way, as far as the charter flight from, let's just say it's Boston right now. I don't know for sure if it will be, or New York or Toronto, directly up to Kangerlussuaq. Maybe when we get back, we'll learn how to pronounce these Greenlandic names. I've had so much fun with Lynette and Kim saying these names, and they're both incredibly good at it. But what we'll do, we'll start in Kangerlussuaq. And Kim, next slide, please. I want you to just see a little bit of what they saw and what we will see. The maybe different than the Antarctica experience that so many people went with us with Atlas Ocean Voyages last February. The glaciers are just spectacular and mind-boggling in Kim's words. So when you see this, and this ice fjord is I mean, it's so incredible. It's UNESCO known and labeled. That's a big deal when UNESCO says that this is worthy of being listed as a it's not a World Heritage Site. It's under their scenery or their beauty and land, fjords, mountains, stuff like that division. So how do you pronounce this? Kim, do you want to try practicing for our audience? Kim is not visible on this, but she is here. How do you say that word?
I am 90% sure that it is Ililulissat.
Ooh, that sounded really good.
Oh, no, I think it's actually Ilulissat.
Well, I'll take either one of those. It's pretty incredible. But it's the ice fjord area that we'll be seeing. And Kim, just real quick, I know on your Atlas Ocean Voyage experience in Greenland, you and Lynette both were so mesmerized and impressed with the ice, the glaciers, the fjords, the beauty of the mountains. Is that correct?
It was spectacular. I know many people have been to Alaska. Until this trip, Alaska was one of my favorite destinations, and I feel like Greenland and this area in general is kind of like Alaska on steroids, with the amount of glaciers, the icebergs that come off, and then obviously the wildlife. It's a spectacular place to go.
Well, that's a pretty important testimony that Kim liked it more than Alaska, and by the way, Lynette did too. And when I say liked it, we're impressed by it. We're just the memories of what you see. I think this will be a very relaxing trip. There again, different than Alaska, where you go to Juneau and Ketchikan and Sitka, and you've got them 10, 15, 20 different tours that you have to pay for to go see that area. This, all the tours are included, and there will not be nearly that much in the tour department. This is going to be a scenery and a relaxing trip. We will go to some towns. You'll see this as it will go on. We'll do some. I wanted so badly to. I'm a paddleboarder on the lake we live on, so I wanted to paddleboard in Antarctica. Well, so I'm going to get to paddleboard in the Arctic. How about that? Kim, next slide, please. Okay, this is really fascinating, this Disco Bay. And I got to tell you, I'd not even heard of this, didn't know anything about it, but it is, again, a UNESCO listed ice fjord. That's where it's right north, I think 30 or 50 miles north of Ilulissat, like Kim said. But this is the biggest, largest, and most impressive bay in all of Greenland, and the icebergs and the midnight sun and everything that we're going to see this time of the year in August, I think is just going to be spectacular. Kim, they tell us too that the west coast of Greenland is the best place that to see wildlife, and that here in this Disco Bay area especially, beluga whales, I think it's called the bowhead whales, and the elusive narwhal whales. I had to have Kim and Lynette tell me all about narwhals, which they said was the unicorn of whales. Okay, so maybe we'll get to see those up in that area. I think that's really, really important. So, and this Atlas Ocean Voyages is a small enough ship, the World Voyager, their newest, Atlas's newest ship, that can get into some of these places where the other bigger ships cannot. By the way, I was just handed a note that Ariel in our group department wanted everybody to know that the day we're in Disco Bay happens to be Lynette Talge's birthday, my assistant and our wonderful group coordinator. So we'll get her some ice for her birthday present. Who knows? Maybe we'll fly her in and make a guest appearance in Disco Bay, or she can show us how to do the John Travolta disco dancing in there. Okay, enough of that. So, okay, Kim, next slide. Wow. Again, I think a lot like people saw in Antarctica, and if you've not been there, you don't know, but the ice fields, the fjords, the sculpturing of ice is just magnificent. It always, every time we ever send any of our customers or wonderful customers to Antarctica or to the Arctic, as Lynette and Kim just had that group up there, the ice is just a magnificent experience, because the color of the ice, the massiveness of the ice, the fjords are just breathtaking. And Kim, I know that you were just really, you and Lynette were just in awe. Every time I asked you about your experiences and memories, you talked about really the icebergs and the ice and the scenery more than anything, didn't you?
We did. I mean, it's kind of crazy when you're on the Atlas ships, and then we'll talk more about this a little later. You don't realize how small they are, or how small the Atlas ships are, until you're next to an iceberg and it looks like it's taller and bigger than the ship that you're sailing on, and you know that it's a lot bigger underneath than what you can see on top. So there's just like the sheer magnitude of the fact that that fell off of a glacier and it's been gliding down the fjord is just mind-boggling, and to know how old that ice is, and it's really crazy, and it's really beautiful. The stillness of everything in that area is beautiful, and the icebergs, and I can't say enough good things about it. It was stunning.
It's a very relaxing experience, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it's a little different than your average ocean cruise, because there's not as much entertainment, which could be a pro or a con for some. For me, it was a pro. I don't think Lynette and I had napped and slept as much on that cruise as we have in the last probably 10 years. And we came back and just felt so rejuvenated. We got to see and do so much and explore, and then we learned so much, and then we got to relax.
And during the summer months, August, September, July, even late June, you had, what did you have, 18 hours of sunlight or more than that?
I would say the sun probably came up at I mean, I wasn't up this early myself, but probably 4 or 5 a.m. and then would set, as we got farther south, it set a little bit earlier, but that first night when we were above the Arctic Circle, it didn't set until probably 11 or 12 p.m. The sun was still shining.
Yeah, a lot like Alaska, especially way north in Alaska. So there'll be a lot of daylight and a lot of things to see. And boy, I just remember in Alaska and Norway, the silhouette of the mountains as it got dusk was just breathtakingly beautiful. I love this picture right here, Kim, because you know these are these must be Viking heritage people or related, you know, many generations on, because they have to be tough people who live in this area, especially during the winter months. But don't you like how they use the color too, and the colors of the houses and the buildings next to all the white you see and the blue waters? Isn't it just breathtaking?
It is, and some of the fun little settlements you'll probably get to visit. The colors of the houses are bright pink and bright green and bright blue and yellow, and it's really fun to see that, because a part of me wishes it could be normal to paint my house a nice little teal color.
Yeah. They have here what they call the calving glacier, and it's actually they give it a name Calvin, but it's synonymous with calving, which is what happens when glaciers have pieces or chunks break off. And this glacier that we will see, what is that called? The Iqui Glacier. Would you go to the next slide, Kim? Iqui Glacier, I think it is. Yeah, look at this glacier. This is bigger than anything you'll see in Alaska, and it is the most active glacier in all of Greenland. And the nickname Calving Glacier is what they've given this. I just think that's so incredible. So we're going to get to see things that you just probably won't see anywhere else in the world outside of perhaps Antarctica. And I know the people that have been to Antarctica, like the Coopers, the Millers, the Dunsmores that were on that Arctic cruise with you, Kim, to your Arctic adventure on Atlas Ocean Voyages, they were also on the Antarctic experience, and they both said while they were uniquely spectacular, they were different in many ways, and maybe because it was most recent, but they were so impressed with the mountains that you don't get to see in Antarctica. The Antarctica is almost just all ice. Actually, there are mountains, but the ice covers the mountains. Here you get to see the mountains. Okay, Kim, next picture. Boy, and this is the picture that I asked Nicole to put into this. I just think it's breathtakingly beautiful when you see the sun setting at whatever time it is, 8 or 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, and how beautiful it is above the Arctic Circle. You know, we'll get a lot of this type experience in the evening. And by the way, that Kim, that Atlas Ocean Voyages ship with that big, beautiful the observation lounge and the dome with the 270-degree view, isn't it just a perfect setup to watch the beautiful scenery that you see, whether it's sunsets or sunrises or anything in between? Isn't that just perfect for people?
Yeah, we spent a lot of our time up there. They had live music, they had tea time, they had all kinds of fun stuff going on. And we found ourselves up there in a lot of our free time when we weren't napping, and just watched all the scenery go by, watched all the icebergs go by, and it's pretty spectacular. I feel like I've been saying that a lot.
And I really want this to be said, and this is on purpose, how relaxing and how beautiful. This would be a trip. Kim, tell me if you agree, this would be a trip that even if you didn't ever get off the ship, you would enjoy the total experience, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. From the way that the staff takes care of you and the service levels to all the good food that you get to eat, the wonderful room service menu I indulged in many times, everything about it, and just seeing all the scenery go by, for just the scenery alone, and seeing the glaciers and the icebergs and the I guess the shoreline of Greenland itself, it's all beautiful. And if you never step foot off the ship, the entertainment, if you will, the TED Talks that they give on board to tell you about where you're going, and all of it's just so informational. I learned so much. It was such a great experience.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this. Mimi and I both are. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, I love this now. Kim, is it Nuuk?
I think it's just Nuuk.
Nuuk? Okay, let's go with Nuuk. Nuuk is the capital of Greenland. I think that's pretty cool. And there again, I love this picture because it shows the different colors of the houses, and we'll have some cultural opportunities. Atlas is really big in what they call cultural immersion, and we'll have a chance to meet some of the locals there, and especially in this area right here. But I love that picture with the, and think about this, guys, it'll be, if it's 100 degrees here in the Midwest, it's not going to be 100 degrees up here. So we're going to enjoy the coolness to cold of the area here around the Arctic Circle. Kim, next slide, please. Oh, here we go. Here's the picture of the mountains. Is this not breathtaking? Mimi and I just got back from Copper Mountain, like I told you, and there's something about the mountains that is just mesmerizing to most people. And then you put mountains around the water, even more mesmerizing. Then you get the glaciers and the ice fields and things like this that you see. And I just think this is a grand slam home run in an outdoor adventure that I know you will absolutely love. That's a great slide. Kim, next slide, please. There you go. I know Kim and Lynette got blessed one night at what, Kim, 2:33 in the morning?
Yep, it was about 2:30, well, it's probably about close to 3 in the morning. We had a lovely little wake up call from Lewis, our hotel manager, saying we have lights. And then everybody rose from the dead and went upstairs to the top deck to take in the sights. And it was, I'm not gonna lie, it was a little chilly, but it was so worth it to see that with my own 2 eyes.
You know, I mean, what a blessing, because in my whole travel career, you know, I've been 108 countries. This will be 109. And I've never seen the Northern Lights. I've never seen the Northern Lights, and you got to see it when you were here in Greenland. I think that's so exciting. But now I know why you and Lynette were taking so many naps. If you get up at 2:30 or 3 in the morning to see the Northern Lights, of course you're going to take a nap the next day. That is just breathtakingly beautiful. I pray that our group will get to see Northern Lights too. Kim, next slide. Yeah, here are the fjords of Greenland. Everybody talks about how breathtakingly beautiful they are, and you see the snow-capped mountains throughout Greenland where we will be. And you know, Atlas provides the green parkas. We'll show you those here in a minute. Love that slide there. And again, our Atlas Ocean Voyages ship is small enough to be able to get through some of these fjords where the bigger ships cannot get through them. Kim, next slide. There you go. Prince Christian Sound. I love this picture because it shows the majesty of those strong, beautiful mountains and that gorgeous iceberg right in front of that all. What a fabulous picture and experience. Kim, you saw the icebergs like this, and it's really incredible, right? You don't see big, gigantic icebergs like that as much in Antarctica, but I know you, Lynette, were very impressed with icebergs that you saw, correct?
We were, and I feel like you guys being in Disco Bay with that big active glacier, I think you guys are going to see even bigger and better icebergs than we did.
You know, the one picture that I love, and you know this, they showed the pictures of the red sailboats, and the sailboats with the red sails along right in front of the white, stark white icebergs. And wasn't that a magnificent sight?
Yeah, it is. It's really pretty. And there's some kind of significance with the red sail, but we can't pin down exactly what it means. So we'll work on that and we'll report back.
Okay. Yeah. I imagine that when there's so much white and ice, color is what people need. But I think this Prince Christian Sound will be great. Kim, one other thing, Atlas has something that I just absolutely love, and I had to process through this, but it makes sense. A lot of their itinerary is called the Captain's Choice, because if there's better scenery or more wildlife somewhere else than what was perhaps scheduled that day, and they send those naturalists out to look for wildlife, to look for the scenery, the glaciers, whatever. Maybe if it's fogged in where we're supposed to go, they go to a different area. But didn't you like the fact that the captain has a choice of where to take the guests for the best experience?
Yeah, I mean, it really creates kind of a level of excitement of, ooh, where are we going to go next? because they will sit down and chat with the expedition leaders and map out your plan of attack based on weather conditions and where you'll have the best weather in the calmest sea, where you'll have the best wildlife viewing, where the glaciers are most active. And they take all those things into account to provide you with the best possible day they can.
I'm so excited about that. And for example, up around that Disco Bay, I forgot to tell everybody, I don't know why, but while Kim and Lynette and so many people were so excited about the narwhals, the unicorn whales, I don't know why I'm so excited to see musk oxen. And apparently up around Disco Bay, but all of this area, we actually have a chance to get out and see the herds of musk oxen. Put in your mind the herds in century ago when the bison, the buffaloes, had herds everywhere in the wild west. You don't see that anymore, of course, but here in Greenland, you get to see the herds of the musk oxen, and that's something that I want to do if we have a chance. Okay, next slide. Oh, the red sailboat photo. Where is the red sailboat photo? Oh, I want to show that. But this
Nicole and I tried to find a good one, and we couldn't find that one that met our standards.
Well, we're gonna make sure you all see, because I've seen the pictures of the red sailboats with that glacier in the background. It's just beautiful, breathtaking from your pictures. And again, this Prince Christian Sound. Sounds and fjords and bays that's Greenland. This is the most beautiful area of Greenland, and this is what we're going to get to see almost every single day. We'll have a couple days at sea to enjoy the ship, to get spa treatments, to get spoiled, and get to know each other better. So Kim, next slide. Again, a beautiful, look at the glacier coming down. And I mean, if you've never seen the glaciers in Alaska or wherever else, when they come down in the valleys, they push that dirt that's in front of them. They literally push it, which is why in this picture right here, you see the brown in the very front of the glacier. But those glaciers are tens of thousands of years old. Think about that. You'll get to see a lot of glaciers and how beautiful this will be. Go ahead, Kim, next slide, please. We will end, we have a day of travel, by the way, at sea between the last stop, Prince Christian Sound, and when we get to Reykjavik. But when we get to Reykjavik, again, that's when we're going to have optional land tours for you to do. There's many people that have been to Iceland, Reykjavik before, like I have, and you may or may not want to stay. You can go back immediately after the day we have in Reykjavik, or you can stay for the longer customized tours that we will be offering. Okay, so Kim, let's go to the next slide and talk about you know, the ships a little, or the ship that will be on the World Voyager. There's a great picture of Reykjavik for those of you that haven't been there. It is breathtakingly beautiful. And oh, there you are. There's Kim and there's Lynette. I love it. Is that a polar bear crossing, Kim?
It is.
That's so great. And there you have, what do you have? One of the husky dogs there on the left?
Yeah, so when we were in Greenland, we went to a little place that had very, very small settlement, and one of their dogs went out and wandered around and greeted us and welcomed us to the island. We all know Lynette's a dog whisperer, so we had to take a picture.
Hey, I do want you to, I want to say you two model the Green Parkas quite well. And you also are representing our Kansas City Chiefs quite well with your stocking caps.
Yes.
And Kim, the middle picture there, or the picture to the right of you all with the dogs, that's just one of the icebergs in front of a glacier?
Correct. That was in Greenland actually too. So that was kind of the magnitude of a glacier that had just broken off of, or an iceberg that had just broken off of the glacier. And then you can see the mountain in the background as well. It's actually the background on my phone.
Ah, is it really? That's beautiful. Mm-hmm. And then a polar bear crossing. I love that. Mm-hmm. Polar bears are quite elusive, so we may or may not see polar bear, but if we do, it'll be a bonus. Then what is the picture on the far right? Just one of the beautiful rivers?
Yep, so that is in Iceland. That was coming down from a waterfall we visited in Iceland.
Boy, Iceland's a fascinating country, isn't it? I mean, seems like there's something going on under your feet everywhere you are in Iceland. It's such a volcanic island. And I just think this is hilarious that the Vikings purposely named Iceland to keep people from wanting to go there, where it's much more green than Greenland. Greenland should have been named Iceland, and Iceland should have been named Greenland. I think that's fascinating that the Vikings did that. Next picture, please. That's a great picture you got. Great 4 pictures of you two. Oh, that's beautiful. My gosh.
So this was in Greenland. This was one of our first wet landings that we did. It was a small island, and you can see the mountains. In the very, very back, you can see a little bit of glacier and then the fjord. So it was a pretty good representation of everything that Greenland offers in one picture.
Yeah, you and Lynette and everybody in your group or on the ship got off on the Zodiacs, and the naturalists would take you in and tell you all about the glaciers, the islands, how they were formed, what keeps them sustained, all that, right?
Right.
That's so cool. Beautiful picture. Next picture. Oh, there we are. There we go. That's a beautiful picture. And there the atlases. I like how they did this, because you're in this area of ice and white and the mountains. And so those green parkas, I think, are tremendous. And the Zodiacs, it's a real adventure, isn't it, Kim?
It is, and it's not as scary as I thought it would be. It's very easy to sit. Most of the time, the ride is very smooth. I was worried with how clumsy I am that I would be man overboard, but it was perfectly fine. We felt safe. They teach you how to get on and off in your first expedition meeting, if you will. It's very easy, and I think anybody of any activity level could enjoy it.
And we'll help everybody with the clothes to wear and what to prepare, how to prepare for this. So don't worry about that a lot. But the parkas, actually, the parkas end up being a gift, right, from Atlas?
They do. So on the expedition voyages, you can actually choose to take your parka home with you. Just make sure you leave about 5 pounds in your suitcase weight limit to bring that back, because it's a heavy one, but it's a very, very nice jacket.
And there's 2 layers to that parka. Was it cold enough there, Kim, that you always kept the parka with both the inner layer on, or did you ever take separate the 2?
So I never separated them, and I only wore the parka maybe 2 days when we were doing the just like scenic glacier viewing, when we weren't getting off of the Zodiacs. I would say on average it was between like 35 and 45 degrees, and we were off, we were usually hiking around and exploring. So I usually just wore a light rain jacket, and I was perfectly comfortable, if not a little hot.
Yeah, and just layers.
Yep.
That makes sense. We'll go over all that with you when we have our get-togethers on this. I love that. Isn't that a beautiful ship too? And what a gorgeous, that is a fabulous picture of the adventure you'll be experiencing, the ship you'll be experiencing, and the scenery that you'll be experiencing. Okay, next slide, please. Oh, there you go. Kim, how long would you guess that would be, and then how tall would that iceberg be?
This one was not as tall as the ship. I was on deck 7 in the observation, well, on the outer part of the observation lounge, looking down on it. But I would say it was probably maybe a third of the length of our ship, if not maybe a little bit longer. It was massive.
But you saw some glaciers that were bigger than your ship, right?
We did, yeah.
That's so incredible. Okay, and it's a 200 passenger ship. The definition of expedition is 200 passengers or less. That's the number that in Antarctica you have to have if you can land twice during the day. Anything over 200 up to 400, you can only land once a day. So that's one of the benefits of Atlas Ocean Voyages. Okay, next slide. Oh, great picture. This is the one you were telling us about, Kim. Now is that a 6,000 or 8,000 passenger gigantic ship?
Nope. So our ship is obviously on the left. We were on the World Traveler, which is going to be sister ship and identical layout to what you guys will be on the Voyager. The big ship, what looks like a big ship, only carries about 2,200 to 2,500 passengers. So for those of you who have been on, let's say, Holland America line, that's the size ship that would be representative of what is parked next to ours or docked next to ours, and you can just see the sheer size difference. But when you're on that little vessel, the Atlas Ocean Voyage ship, it doesn't feel that small. you feel like you're on one of those big guys just because of how it's laid out and how spacious it is compared to how many people are on board. But I mean, 200 versus 2,200 is a very big difference.
And actually there's about 186 because there's 14 naturalists. And these ships, the Atlas Ocean Voyages ships, are designed for anybody nervous about the icebergs. As you know, the Atlas Ocean Voyages are designed with the hulls to handle the ice and the conditions in Antarctica and the Arctic. These ships were built for Antarctica and the Arctic. Okay, next picture. I love that picture, Kim. Great picture. Oh, look at that. Is that not just peaceful and serene? I just, and you see, I think that's probably the waves that you see there in that glacier type water setup is probably the Zodiac, right? That just came in.
Correct. There were absolutely no waves. It was calm as can be. And I love this picture because of the blue water versus the dark mountains and then the rockiness of the beach. And I love the striations in the mountains. At one point, those were all flat and the same level. And then as the volcanic activity happened, it pushed it up.
Which is what makes Greenland so incredibly special. I bet there were 1 trillion pictures taken there.
Yeah, my camera is very full.
I mean, that is just gorgeous. That's just breathtaking. Wow. Yeah. Wonder if I could water ski in that water. I better just stick to paddleboarding or kayaking. Okay, next picture. Oh, there you go.
The same thing.
Beautiful, beautiful, Kim. Gosh, darn, that's gorgeous. Oh.
Yeah, it was stunning. It was definitely a little bit of a tough hike, but once you got up there, it was totally worth it.
So they gave you the option right there to get off and do a hike. And do they tell you how strenuous or how challenging it will be?
They did. So when we got off the ship, they gave us like a safety briefing, if you will, once we got on shore, and said there are 3 levels of hikes on this expedition. You can stay level 1, which is going to be here. You can do level 2, which will be up there, and they have cones laid out for you. And then they have level 3, which is going to be above level 2 if you make it that far. And they basically have expedition leaders posted every step of the way to guide you and ask questions if you want. And then they also stand guard and make sure that there aren't any wildlife that could be pose a danger for you, that they just happen to pop up, because animals can pop up anywhere. We're in their territory.
Yeah, you know, the musk oxen might show up. Yeah. Okay, next picture, please. Next slide. Okay, I love that. Yeah, there's the thing we were talking about. While the ship is designed for 200 people, 14 of the people that will be on there to help make our experience the best it can be are called naturalists. And Kim, weren't the naturalists just absolutely so impressive and educational?
They were, and I would say it was the first night or two, they all kind of gave a talk about what their specialty is. One might specialize in birds, and one might specialize in land mammals, and one might specialize in the plants. And it was just fascinating to learn what their specialties are and what they research and what they're most knowledgeable about. That way you knew who to go to when you had specific questions, and they were all super friendly and very informative when we were out on the Zodiacs.
You know, and safety is their #1 concern, isn't it?
It is. They give you a safety briefing and tell you exactly how they're going to hold on to you as you're stepping onto the Zodiac, how to grab them, where to sit down, how to act on the Zodiac, where to hold on. So every little bit of nervousness that I had was instantly washed away after listening to that. And I think Lynette and I both agree that we were very overwhelmed and stressed out for absolutely no reason. So we'll make sure that you don't get to the point that we did before our trip.
Well, Mimi and I are a little bit older than you two, so I'm not stressed out at all. I'm really excited about this. I cannot wait. And Kim, that to your point about the spaciousness feel of the World Traveler you were on, which is architecturally the same exact ship as the newer World Voyager that we will be on. It's so nice, isn't it, not to feel crowded and to have space and to be able to get from one end or top to bottom in a matter of a few minutes instead of many minutes.
Yeah, I've always made it a rule for myself. If I'm on a cruise, if it's only a couple decks up or down, then I'm going to take the stairs. And I think we only took the elevator on this ship maybe 3 times total. It was so easy to go up and down. It didn't feel like you were going very far at all, and no single space ever felt crowded. There was always room to breathe. I know some folks shy away from ocean cruises because they're afraid they're going to feel like they're in a cattle call and just it's lines upon lines upon lines, and that's just not the way that Atlas operates. I not once felt like I was being suffocated by people, and I thought it was really interesting that all of the workers by the end of the first day knew my name. And we're like, how in the world do they know? And I found out their secret, but I'm not going to share it.
Yeah, we can share it maybe later. Okay.
Yeah.
Next slide, please, Kim. Yeah, this is just beautiful. There's the ship itself, which I think is absolutely state of the art in its design. Just magnificent, magnificent. The observation dome, the picture on the right of the ship. Kim, that's kind of the nucleus or the place everybody goes because of the 270-degree visibility. Isn't it just spectacular?
It is. That's where almost all of the evening entertainment is going to be. They'll have live music. They have tea time up there. They'll play trivia up there. There's a lot of fun things that you can do. Or when all that's not happening, you can just go and read a book, and it's nice and quiet. It's a really great place to be.
Then the picture right in the middle on the lower level, they have a wonderful deck right outside the observation dome and also on deck 5. Lots of places actually to go out on deck and just view the scenery, right?
Correct. They make getting outside very easy. No matter what deck you're on, chances are there will be a spot where you can go outside and see the outdoors and the scenery very, very, very quickly and easily.
And the stateroom, like you said, taking naps and having room service 24/7. Maybe people might on this itinerary spend a little bit more time in their room, but their rooms are just very, very classy and elegantly stated, aren't they?
They are, and I will say the beds were exceptionally comfortable. Usually I have a hard time sleeping because I feel like beds on cruise ships or at resorts, they always tend to be very hard, and these were very comfortable. So that's a good on them. But I think overall their staterooms are really great. And something that Lynette and I really enjoyed is that they have your typical, your bow cam and your aft cam, so you can watch where the ship's going or just came from. But they also have a camera on the auditorium. So if you don't want to go to the theater and watch whatever speaker is presenting, you can watch it in your stateroom from your bed. And if your eyes just happen to fall shut, no one's going to judge you. You can do that and it's okay.
They record it so you can watch it later. Kim, the dining room on the right-hand side, elegant, beautiful dining room too, isn't it?
It is, and I will say the service levels were spectacular. They change the menu every night. It's always a different theme. So we had an Italian night and an Asian night. There was a Chilean night or Peruvian or somewhere in South America. I can't recall. They had different themed nights. So every night the menu was different, but they always had the same staples. So if you didn't want what was on the menu, you could get your steak or your chicken breast or your salmon, as well as some sides that are always staples as well. So they have a good mix for the picky people like myself that always worry about what kind of food is going to be served. They'll have you taken care of. You'll have no problems.
And Kim, for the people that are gluten intolerant or just want heart healthy meals, there's all of those specialties can be received, right?
Correct. Food allergies, vegetarian, vegan, all of that can, vegan might be a little more tough just with the area you're in and getting imports and things like that. But vegetarian, I know in our group we had some vegetarians and they had no problems finding things to eat.
Great, great. Okay, next slide. These are beautiful pictures. Love these pictures. Oh, and the wildlife. That's one of the things we're going to be, praying that we get to see, because like in Alaska or anywhere in the world, there's no guarantees you're going to see them. But the polar bears, I love that picture of the polar bear on the iceberg, and you see all the ice below the water, because Kim's point is well taken. What do they say? The 10% of an iceberg is above water and 90% below it. Look at the walrus, and I know you and Lynette saw walruses, and how cool is that? There's my musk oxen right below the walrus, and are those caribous? Is that what they call those?
Reindeer.
Reindeer. Oh, in Alaska they're caribou, in Greenland they're reindeer. I love it. And then the good old sea otter, right?
Seal.
Seals?
Uh-huh.
Are the sea otters up there too?
I don't think so. They didn't mention any of that. Most of them was anything that we saw in the water for the most part were seals, and there's a lot of different kinds of seals. And then obviously there's a ton of different birds that you can see too. I feel like I'm a bird expert now, but that's kind of the fun thing of, especially I know Mimi is an avid bird watcher these days, so she can enjoy using they have a complimentary pair of binoculars in each stateroom that you can use. So make sure you take those with you when you go out on your expeditions, and you can use those to spot things in the water, in the air, on land, wherever.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay, next picture. I love it. This is the active part of what you can have the option to do or not do at all. If you're not comfortable walking on the surface, the rocky land there, if you're not comfortable kayaking, or if you are, you have that option. Same with paddleboarding. I look at that and I just get so excited because these are the things I want to do. I love these 4 pictures. Gosh, great job, Nicole, who put all this together. This is just breathtakingly beautiful. And Kim, I'll tell you what, after you're out there, I bet a nice adult beverage when you get back is a warm, hot adult beverage or just beverage is probably very exciting. But gosh, that's beautiful. So exciting. So exciting. Were you impressed with all the things that you could do, whether you wanted to or not?
Yeah, they had a lot of variety. And I will say one of the highlights, and hopefully you guys will be able to do this too since you're going to the glacier. If you pick some glacial ice out of the water and take it to the bar in the lounge, they will chop that ice up for you and make you a beverage with it. So Lynette and I, well, Lynette did it and they chopped the ice up, and we had a nice little amaretto sour with our however many year old glacial ice. And it was probably for me one of the highlights because I'm never going to get to do that again. So
yeah, that's pretty cool. You can do it in a lot of places. It'll cost you $50 or $100 for a drink with that glacier ice. Next picture, next slide, please. Oh, the polar plunge, which is optional. Okay, who is that? Larry Miller and Gary Cooper?
it might be.
Oh, we're supposed to keep the names. That's just 2 random people that you happen to take pictures of, right? I love it. Oh, I bet that water was cold, but they have all the safety harnesses and everything on there. My comment is Mimi will not do this, but I probably will. So you can make your decision when we're on the trip. That's great. Next picture, please. Were you well, you already said you were pleased with the food and the wine and the services, and everything's included, isn't it, Kim? There's no extra cost for spirits or for wines, good wines, right?
There were on the menus, if you wanted something that was going to pair, it was a very high-end wine and they did have the option to buy a bottle. But anytime that I asked for something, it was never an extra charge. They had a Sauvignon Blanc on board that was phenomenal. And whether they served that or not, they always gave that to us because they knew that's what our table wanted. So it was a really good variety. You could ask for just about anything you wanted. And other than the bottles that they listed on the menu, I can't recall anything being an extra charge.
Well, it's about lunchtime and I'm getting real hungry looking at these pictures, but the presentation just looks fabulous. And I know you and Lynette and everybody else that was in the group said Atlas's employees, their service staff was fabulous. And Kim, this is kind of what we're going with all this. The value for this experience on Atlas Ocean Voyages honestly is second to none. You know what some of the competitors of these lines charge, right?
I actually found a sailing that was nearly identical to what Lynette and I did. It was just maybe 3 or 4 extra days. And it was about triple the cost of what our guests ended up paying for this voyage. So the value of Atlas, and honestly, I think that ship had carried more passengers than Atlas does as well. So Atlas right now is a huge value and savings to our customers. And I don't really think you can go wrong. Everybody that we talked to thoroughly enjoyed it. And at the very beginning of the cruise, when they were introducing, everybody, the hotel manager, they were introducing the expedition leaders, they asked the question, how many of you have sailed with Atlas before? I kid you not, 80% of the room raised their hand. Everybody who has sailed with Atlas usually ends up coming back because it's such a great experience.
Yeah, my experience when I did the naming ceremonies down in Ushuaia were, I was so impressed with that. And this is one of the things, Kim, that you and I, you know this, you've been with us a long, long time here at Cruise Holidays Kansas City. And we like to find these kind of values and build relationships with the executives. I mean, the president, the vice president of sales, and all the executives were on that naming ceremony. And I work real hard, as I always do, to get to build relationships with those people. And they have made us a value that we want to pass on to our clients. That seriously, the best value for a 5-star expedition style, yacht style ship you'll ever find anywhere is Atlas Ocean Voyages. And that's why Mimi and I will be doing this next, this experience to Greenland next August 15th through the 25th. Next slide, please. I'm getting too hungry watching that. Yeah, that's up in the lounges and the, oh, look at those appetizers, canapes. They bring those out every day, don't they, at what, 3 or 4 o'clock?
They do. And then before the expedition talks in the afternoon or the evening, those are usually between like 5 and 7, depending on the schedule. They'll walk around with glasses of champagne and the drink of the day, and we'll offer you little finger quick bites if you wanted to have something before you go off to dinner. And that little guy holding the champagne or sparkling wine, he was actually on our voyage, and he was the cutest little guy. He was so sweet. Everybody was great on the ship.
Yeah. Their service, their food quality, I really, they've hit a home run. They will be a brand name in a couple of years, 2-3 years at the longest. But right now, we have the relationship with them that so many people don't even know about Atlas. And that's why we're putting groups like our Royal Family group on their ships. That's why Kim and Lynette did that Arctic cruise that actually went up to Svalbard, Norway. And they have some phenomenal values. We have also sold them in the Mediterranean and other places. Next slide, please. Oh gosh, I've got to go get lunch. This is fabulous. So the Porto dining room is the main dining room. Tell us about that.
It is. So it's open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's mostly buffet style for breakfast, although they do have a small menu if you wanted waffles or French toast or eggs Benedict or poached eggs. They have a menu you can order off of. The same is true for lunch. They'll have a lunch buffet as well as a sit-down menu. And a couple nights, or a couple days, I should say, they had an aft grill, so you could go outside and they were grilling burgers and hot dogs and chicken breasts and things like that. So you could go outside and have the grill menu, or you could have a sit down menu inside the restaurant for lunch. Room service is also available if you didn't want to do either. And then for dinner, it's a total sit down menu with 3 courses if you wanted 3 courses. Everything was wonderful.
I know when we were on there too, they had a carving station you could go to. Did they have it when you were there?
For lunch, yes. For dinner, no.
Ah, okay. So cool. Offers home-style dishes just like they were cooked by grandma. I love that. Next slide, please. Oh, yeah. The specialty coffee right now is a big deal. Tell us all about Paula's Pantry.
So Paula's Pantry was my go-to place in the morning. They have muffins and pastries as well as coffees. You can ask for a specialty coffee. You can do it hot or iced. And the sweet little gal at Paula's, every morning by like day 2, she knew I wanted an iced caramel macchiato and a muffin, and it was almost ready for me by the time I got down there. They're so great. And then if you want in the afternoon, they have sandwiches. In the mornings, they'll have power bars. They'll have like wellness shots, juice concoctions. They have so much that you can get. So if you're not a big breakfast person, you can go get a coffee and just grab a small bite. And they're open from the morning until about 6 p.m. So almost dinner time for a grab and go option throughout the day.
Yeah, I love it. And these boost drinks have become very, very popular. And so they've got all of that. They had orange juice there all the time, and fresh oranges. It was so good. Bananas, and apples, and things like that.
Yes.
Next slide, please. There you go. That's Kim's in-room dining. Was that guy there with you, Kim?
No, I could say I wish he was, but he was
So,
not.
did you ever have breakfast brought into your room?
I did. So on the days where I knew we were going to have an early morning, I would put a little door hanger on the outside of my room, and then they would bring breakfast to you between the times that you put on your card. And they had a ton of options. You could do your cereals, your oatmeals, a bread basket, bagels, eggs, omelets, whatever you wanted, you could get for breakfast in your room. And then they had an all-day menu for room service that ranged from a Wagyu hamburger all the way to a chicken Caesar salad wrap. And then they had other things as well for more dinner, like a chicken breast, a club sandwich, things like that.
I use in-room dining for breakfast all the time. It's kind of my wake-up call. Okay, next slide. That's a great picture. We've talked about the observation dome. The spa there, I love the bottom right. They have this big, huge sauna, and it's free to people, and it is in prime real estate right there, I think on deck number 4 by the reception area. It's just gorgeous, but they've also got a spa there to get signature treatments, massages, facials, pedicures, things like that. But did you use the sauna at all? I know I did. I love the sauna.
I did not use the sauna, but I did get a facial.
Good for you. Was it the treatment good?
It was, and it was all L'Occitane products on board, so everything smelled wonderful. And then you have the option to purchase those products if you enjoyed your service as well.
And I think Lynette had a massage, didn't she?
I think she did, yeah.
Did she enjoy
Everybody
that?
was talking about how great all of the spa treatments were. It was a
Yeah.
pretty big hit, but the spa appointments fill up very quickly. So if you have a day at sea, make sure that you reserve that your first day on board to make sure you get the time slot and day you want, because I waited until the second half of the trip and it was very slim pickings, but we made it work.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah.
The fitness studio, I understand you get an automatic 500 calorie reduction just by walking into the room. Is that true?
I think so. It's right there off the reception area. So the spa's on one side, the gym is on the other side. I saw many of people go in and out, but on vacation calories don't count. So I did not make my way in there.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. And a lot of people, that fitness studio is a big, big deal right now. Okay, next slide. So we'll talk a lot about this, and we talked about the Antarctica summer, same thing with the Arctic. I know when we sent our group to Antarctica, it was much warmer than the typical average temperatures, and we'll have a better feel closer to next August when we start recommending people how to pack. But in essence, I just think you pack layers, 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 and you have comfortable shoes. Kim, comfortable hiking shoes is a big, big deal, isn't it?
I would say it is. Most people I found, myself included, wore the muck boots that they provide when going ashore, just because sometimes when you're landing, there is no dock. So you literally jump out, you swing around your legs and you land in the water. Sometimes they'll have a box there if you're not wearing your hiking or your muck boots. But I found the muck boots to be comfortable enough, and they were very warm. So if you wanted to bring hiking shoes, you could, but you could also just wear the muck boots that are provided.
And those muck boots go up to almost your knee, right?
They do. I would say, yeah, just under your knee.
Next slide, please. We'll go over all of what you need to wear and take. We'll talk to you about the base layers, the mid layers. So next slide. Outer layers, top layers, outer. There we go, boy. I tell you what, there's the muck boot right there in the middle. That's the mud room, right? Isn't that fabulous? So you don't have to have all that in your stateroom, especially if you get mud and stuff on your muck boots. But taking waterproof pants is a big deal. Stocking caps, right? That's me on the bottom right, and of course on the left there on my Atlas Ocean Voyages. Okay, next picture. Or next slide. There we go. That's the entertainment we had on the naming ceremony with that glacier in the background. How beautiful. But you see also the pool and the hot tubs on the open air deck. And notice the parkas have hoods. That day it was real windy. So most everybody did put the hood up, and I know they were glad that they had those parkas. So, and also that's because then you don't have to pack a big heavy parka when you take down there. But you will need, I tell everybody, you know, if you wear like ski bibs or something like that, waterproof pants, those are all real important to take, wool socks, things like that. Okay, next slide. Yeah, again, we'll go over all that closer. There's my buddy Brad and I. There's Oya, who was our Atlas representative. You see me representing the Chiefs quite well. And I always like to meet the most important people, and especially if they're pretty. And that was the maitre d' on the ship, the World Traveler, when we were on it. Next picture, please. The jogging track, I forgot to talk all about that. Yeah, if you are a jogger or a walker, there's a lot you can do. And again, on this cruise, there's going to be a lot more free time than there is on a lot of trips. And there again, you see the pool and the hot tubs there. So bring your swimsuit with you. Okay.
I forget exactly what temperature, but they tell you on your little day-to-day packet what the temperature of the pool and the hot tub are, and they are very toasty. So even though it's chilly outside, you can still utilize the pool and the hot tubs as long as it's not rough seas, obviously.
And you have the bathrobes in your rooms that you can take up there in the cooler weather. That's real important to have a bathrobe and towels with you when you get out of the hot tub. Next slide, please. So this is what we love about this, Kim, and I'll tell you, you and I were just talking about the value that Atlas is right now and how well they're working with us. We've become a very, very important customer to them. When we asked for help to make it appealing to you to join Mimi and I, this is the program they give us. The second guest will, in essence, go free outside of just your taxes, right? So, which I think are $543 or something like that. So it's a 2-for-1 deal, a true 2-for-1 deal. And again, we have a bigger promotion right now that I have asked them to increase this savings time from the end of September to the end of October. I think they'll give that to us because they did give us the onboard credit of $200 per stateroom if deposited by October 31st. So I'm pretty sure the pricing that you will get from us will be available through October 31st. And then after that, they have the right to raise the prices. So I'd ask you to make your decision just as quickly as you possibly can on this, whether you want to go or not. We can recommend travel insurance like we always do, especially when you go to part of the world like this, and it's an investment. Next slide. Do we have the prices up there or not? Do you remember? Yeah, there we go. So depending on what kind of category you want to have from the Adventure Ocean View room, and I think Kim, did you have the Ocean View room?
I did.
And were you pleased with that room?
I was, to be honest, I was a little worried because I've never sailed in anything but a balcony. However, because you're really only in your room to get ready and sleep and nap, you don't feel like you're missing out on very much, because when you're not in your room doing that, you're out and about, you're in the lounge, you're in the dome, which is the observation area, you're having dinner, or you're mingling with people. I didn't feel like having an ocean view took away from my experience at all. And even if for some reason someone felt like it did, you can always see the bow cam and the aft cam on your TV. So it's like you have a balcony in that sense.
Well, that's good to know. All the other rooms are, well, I shouldn't say this. The other rooms have either the balcony option or it's called the horizon view. Picture a big picture window where the window comes down with a push of a button halfway. So the room actually feels bigger because where the balcony would be, it's an enclosed room, or it can have the visibility. But did you see any of those horizon rooms yourself, Kim?
I did not see them myself, but I know that the Millers ended up getting moved to a horizon room, and they loved it your point, it was a larger stateroom because in these climates, while yes, it's nice to have a balcony to see out, it might not always be utilized due to inclement weather or the fact that it's a little chilly. So having the Florida glass or Florida, well,
See,
whatever, the
Florida,
full length
Florida ceiling.
wall, with the option to let the fresh air in if you wanted to be able to like stick your head out and look around, they felt like having the usable space was more beneficial to them.
Yeah, I had in the Antarctica trip, I had a Horizon room and I loved it because it did feel so much bigger. And then it was cold enough that you didn't have the window down very often. I did a few times to take pictures just to get fresh air. And to your point, the ship is in essence so small that, my gosh, you can get to the outdoors in a matter of minutes or less, almost anywhere on the ship. So we'll go through all this with you. The verandas where, let's say just grab the E2 where guest one pays $20,000 and guest two pays just the taxes of $535. And remember, this also, it's an all-inclusive ship as far as what you pay for. Gratuities are included, your drinks are included, your tours are included, and that charter flight is included from somewhere in North America to Kangerlussuaq, Greenland. And then when we're in Reykjavik, Iceland, flying back will be at your expense. So the air to get to Boston or Toronto or New York, wherever that charter will be, and back from Reykjavik will be your cost, as will be travel insurance, and everything else is pretty much included. So the deposit is $1,035 per person for staterooms, $1,535 for suites, and final payment will be due on the 17th of April. And Lynette just handed me a note that that $2,000 savings is by September 30th. We've not gotten that approved to make it October 30th. So make a decision as quickly as you can, please. It'll save you some money. Kim, anything else you'd like to share with everybody?
I don't think so. I think for people who have kind of been there, done that, and are looking for something new, this would be a trip of a lifetime, if you will. And if it wasn't on your bucket list before, hopefully it is now, and we can make that happen for you.
Yeah. Hey, Kim, I'm looking at that very best suite, the Navigator suite, and we've already got 2 people that have asked for that. That price of $25,000, in essence, $26,000 for 2 people. That's literally a $25,000 savings to $100,000 savings, depending on the competitors' prices for the same exact trip, which would be Seabourn, Silver Seas. A lot of cruise lines like that, correct?
Correct. What I was looking at, it was $60,000 per couple for a regular old veranda.
Yeah, we've priced out, listen, when we did Antarctica, we priced out some of the other competitors that have ships like this, maybe a little bit bigger, which means they don't get a chance to land as much as we do or go to places where we will, that honestly were like $50,000 to $75,000 higher. $50,000 or $70,000 higher. So this is a spectacular value. And I would recommend, like Mimi and I are going to do, is we're going to take advantage of this now. So thank you everybody for listening today. I hope you'll join Mimi and I. All you have to do is get a hold of, if you have a vacation advisor like Kim, you can get a hold of her. She will be happy to help you, or any of our other advisors. Get a hold of them if you work with somebody now. If you're new to Cruise Holidays, just get a hold of our group department. And Lynette, that's Lynette on the bottom right, will be happy to help you, or any of our incredible staff. Kim, thank you for joining me today and sharing all about this wonderful Arctic experience to Greenland.
Thanks for having me.
Take care, everybody. Hey, you deserve and need a stress-free vacation, and we want to help you. I hope you'll join Mimi and I for our only 2024 Royal Family trip to Greenland and Iceland. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.